Skinner and Demoulas in Richfield Springs and Turnbull Insurance Service since 1866 present Mohawk Valley Living, exploring the arts, culture, and heritage of our region. A special good morning to Bob and Cindy watching in Little Falls.
Good morning and welcome to Mohawk Valley Living. Today we are dodging the raindrops and we are touring the valley, including some stops in Herkimer, Ilion, and Little Falls. So stay tuned.
Hearts of all mankind, lapping up the misery, filters through our minds. Wait for those colors, we're promised once again. Lay me in the beauty of our sin.
Special thanks to Turnbull Insurance Service and Mark and Jim Turnbull. Their continued support makes the show possible. Before we head to the valley, we decide to hit the beach. Sylvan Beach and Verona Beach are on the east end of Oneida Lake, separated by a canal. To mark the entrance of this important waterway, a lighthouse was built here in 1915. Its light has continued to shine for nearly 100 years.
Back in 2000, the lighthouse was in really decrepit condition. As a result of the ending of World War II and when shipping traffic kind of, slowed down with the advent of the construction of highways, the lighthouse was let go, and finally by 2000 the disrepair was evident. The site was overgrown with trees and bushes and poison ivy and thorn bushes. The lighthouse hadn't been whitewashed in many years. It was kind of a sad, forlorn looking cement pole. It still had its light and it was still an official marking, but it was really it was in bad shape. A group of local residents, led by Terry Knight, who is currently our secretary, decided to form a not-for-profit organization to raise money for and help restore the lighthouse and kind of promote it and get it back into the hearts and minds of Central New Yorkers. Well, I mean, lighthouses are really beacons of hope and excitement throughout the country. And our little lighthouse here, which is a candlestick lighthouse, as you'll notice, it really does look like a candlestick, is an important, we think, reminder of the importance of waterway navigation, of travel, the importance of the canal to the history of the development of not only New York State, but the interior Midwest of the country as well. And this lighthouse is really a symbol of that development and the importance that this waterway played in the development of America, after the canals were built.
Just trying to find my way back home. Just trying to find my way back home. Just trying to find my way back home.
We head from Verona Beach over the canal to Sylvan Beach. And like many others, we decide to beat the heat with ice cream at yesterday's Royal. Pat Goodenow gives us the scoop. Ice cream is now being served up with a song. We catch the Scoops rehearsing for their ice cream shows.
We're working hard to fill orders of milkshakes and sundaes too. So please sit back, relax, and chat while our scoopers scoop for you. And that's why your scoop will be back shortly. So don't you be blue, 'cause friends, you'll never go hungry with the S-C-O-O-P, the Scoops.
Catch the Scoops at the Ice House Ice Cream Show Musical Extravaganza, Friday and Saturday nights starting at 7:30 p.m. Call yesterday's Royal for reservations, 762-4677, or visit icehouseice-cream-show.com.
When I look around, it lets me know I'm home. I'm making this.
Watch Mohawk Valley Living on Fox WFXV every Sunday at 7:30 a.m. and 11 o'clock p.m., followed by an encore. And now also available on WUTR every Sunday morning at 11:30 a.m.
I wanna live. Yes, I'm making this valley my home.
Here's what's hot on the lot at Skinner and Demoulas. Check out this red-hot 2013 Ford Mustang convertible. This gas-saving, well-equipped car can be yours for only $24,995. MVL fans knock off an extra grand at Skinner and Demoulas in Richfield Springs. You go the extra mile for your small business and should expect the same from your insurance company. For over 140 years, Turnbull Insurance Service has been committed to local small business. For your commercial coverage, turn to the company ready to go that extra mile. Turn to Turnbull. It's Sunday, which means it's Westmoreland Farmers Market Day. Every Sunday from 9 to 1 at Seymour's Diner, Route 233, Westmoreland. Stroll, shop, and rock in the village of Clinton. Marvel at the original artwork of 34 local artists who have transformed handcrafted rockers into functional works of art. Place your bid on your favorite rocker during Art Rocks in the village of Clinton. Melrose Supermarket is your family hometown market, known for their choice hand-cut meats, homemade breads, and fresh pastas and salads. Check out the weekly specials at Melrose Supermarket, East Main Street in Frankfort. Look and feel amazing at the graduation, tea, or garden party in a fun, comfortable dress from the Village Crossing. Check out the fabulous summer fashion in Clinton. Experience old-fashioned home cooking at the Cayuta Drive-In. Enjoy fish fries, homemade soups and salads, and prime rib dinners every Saturday night. Open daily for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and ice cream. The Cayuta Drive-In in Remsen, an Adirondack tradition since 1963. Experience life in the 1800s at the Farmers Museum in Cooperstown. Tour Historic Village and peek inside to see tradespeople at work. Visit the Lippett Farmstead, a living example of a mid-19th century farm, and take a ride on the magical Empire State Carousel. You're invited to step back in time July 13th and 14th for Plants and Herbs Historic Remedies. Local experts will present the history of herbs and how the medicinal use of herbs continues today. North Star Orchards is open for the season. The greenhouse is full of potted plants, annuals, and vegetables, and outside you'll find perennials, trees, shrubs, and topsoil. The bakery's open too, with fresh pies, cookies, breads, and muffins at North Star Orchards, Route 233, Westmoreland.
To see what we can see, traveling round the Mohawk Valley. Let's see.
Special thanks to Skinner and Demoulas for keeping Mohawk Valley Living on the road. Stop in and say hi to the guys at Skinner and Demoulas in Richfield Springs. This week we're heading to the valley. It's been a rainy couple of weeks, so we're hopping from place to place, dodging the rain. Our first stop is the Herkimer Home Historic Site in Little Falls. This Georgian-style mansion was home to Revolutionary War hero General Nicholas Herkimer.
When you come in here, you can't help but have a feeling for history, and then you walk out onto this porch and look at the view that General Herkimer had of the Mohawk Valley. Absolutely stunning. You feel sort of envious, except for one thing. I couldn't help but feel sorry for those people, but because, believe it or not, these are the shoes that they had to wear. They're wooden, and my goodness, how did they do it? I don't know. I wouldn't want to.
This was his home that he built. The general lived here for many years with two of his wives. And
one at a time.
One at a time, yes. And this is where he passed away. He was a Revolutionary War general in the Mohawk Valley and was wounded at the Battle of Oriskany and then returned home here and passed away in his home. He's buried in the cemetery and there is a monument erected. Congress appropriated money in the 18th century to build a monument to his memory. I think people are amazed. There's a sense of wonderment when you walk in here, as an immediate feeling. And if you're sensitive to the times and the Revolutionary War, if you've had ancestors that fought in the Revolutionary War, this kind of is a little overwhelming because it sets you right into that time period, and you can understand a lot of the difficulties that they had out here in the wilderness frontier in the 18th century.
If you're a kid excited about history, next week is the 23rd Annual Living History Camp at Herkimer Home. This day camp is for kids age 8 to 12, July 15th through the 18th, 10 to 3 p.m. Call Herkimer Home Historic Site to register, or visit MohawkValleyLiving.com for information.
Life is never what we've bargained for. We have to take the good with the bad. So why keep your memory?
We head 10 minutes west on Route 5 to Herkimer and the historic Four Corners. Since our last visit to the 1834 Herkimer County Jail, there's been a lot of progress made in its restoration. This historic prison housed two of Herkimer County's most intriguing convicts.
Well, our two high-profile ones are, of course, Roxalana Druce, the one I'm very familiar with because of my book, who was hanged behind the jail in 1887, the last woman hanged in New York, and of course, the very high-profile Chester Gillette. Chester Gillette still remains popular. Over across the way at the Herkimer County Historical Society, they still receive requests for information each year, and each year there are people coming through as tourists wanting to see the courthouse and of course the cell where he was housed. So he's still very, very popular. Well, the jail's always been at the Four Corners. Unfortunately, there was a huge fire in Herkimer in 1834 which literally leveled not only the jail but the courthouse and the Reformed Church at the same time. So then the county got together to figure out to build a new jail and try to make it fireproof. So now we have this limestone fortress-like building right here. And it's been here since the 1834 and was a working jail until the 1970s. When the county decided to unload this piece of property and get rid of it, not take care of it, we understood their concerns, but ours was to preserve the integrity of the Four Corners. I mean, we've lost a lot in this village, and there's a lot of things we want to save. And we got together to literally save this jail for future generations. It's an ongoing project. I don't know when it'll ever be done, but we've got a small group and we've been pretty diligent about keeping things going here with the sale of bricks to generate revenue, tours, and looking for grants, all in an effort to preserve what we have here.
To learn more about the 1834 jail and the Friends of Historic Herkimer County, find them on Facebook or at their next meeting this Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the 1834 jail, 327 North Main Street in Herkimer.
Just wait on these shoulders, but ain't gonna let it bring me down. Just wait on my spirit.
We head over the Mohawk River to Summit Street and Carpent House Custom Woodwork. Here they design and manufacture custom cabinetry, furniture, and architectural millwork for their clients in the New York City area.
Well, it started in 1989 in Little Falls in the Burroughs paper mill, second floor, and then we moved here about, I don't know, I'm not even sure, 6 or 7 years ago. And we started out just buying pre-assembled cabinets, assembling them, and we didn't have just like a radial arm saw when we started out, and then we built up the machinery over the years and expanded into our space, and then eventually moved here. It's all custom built millwork for mostly residential, some commercial. The process, we go through architects and get approvals and finish approvals and materials, and just start from scratch, and everything's custom made. It's all different. It's not the same thing all the time. So.
There's the fruit of my labor when I get bored. Tell me that it's mightier than the sword. It's sweet and subtle as a song of the wren. Well, if a drunk man's words are a sober man's mind, it's all the same to her unless it's written on that line.
We head 5 miles west to Ilion and the Ilion Marina. There's a new, old, familiar place here. Voss's at the marina just opened this spring, but people are already lining up like they have at Voss's in Yorkville for 75 years.
It's a beautiful park. It's very well maintained, and it's a diamond in the rough. You don't expect to park right off 5S and on the Barge Canal of all places, but it gets tons of traffic from the local villages. You get a lot of people from all over the country, and they're experiencing us for the first time, and they and they come back to the park and they say, this is a great place. It's good. It's a great fit for us, and it's a great fit for the village, and we just hope people keep coming back.
Voss's at the Marina is open daily 11 to 8 for the season at the Ilion Marina, 190 Central Avenue in Ilion.
To see what we can see, traveling round the Mohawk Valley. Let's see what we can see.
Here's what's hot on the lot at Skinner and Demoulas. Check out this red-hot 2013 Ford Mustang convertible. This gas-saving, well-equipped car can be yours for only $24,995. MVL fans knock off an extra grand at Skinner and Demoulas in Richfield Springs. Make a delicious impression at your wedding, baby shower, or corporate event with delectable delights from Sugar Babe's Cupcakes and Christine's Cookie Shop. Or sweeten up an ordinary day with a visit to their pastry shop at 46 Genesee Street, New Hartford, behind Randall's Pharmacy. View presents the 39th Annual Old Forge Antiques and Vintage Show and Sale, Saturday and Sunday, July 27th and 28th. Over 60 dealers of fine antiques and collectibles at the North Street Recreation Center in Old Forge, July 27th and 28th. For the most unique shopping experience, visit the Little Falls Antique Center and the shops at 25 West. Over 40 local vendors, all under one roof. Shop local at the Little Falls Antique Center and the shops at 25 West. Always worth the drive. At Canal Place in Little Falls. Brenda's Natural Foods is the natural choice for healthy local products, gluten-free and gourmet foods, personal care and natural cleaning products. Brenda's Natural Foods, West Dominic Street in Rome. Shop Shelter for handmade Adirondack furniture designed by craftsman Jim Kiefer. He works with you to create custom pieces to your specifications, from dining room and coffee tables to bookcases, beds, and bunks. Call or visit Shelter on Main Street in Old Forge. Why do contractors and do-it-yourselfers shop Lincoln Davies? It's the superior grade lumber, the value for the money, the 140 years and 6 generations of customer service. Since 1872, Lincoln Davies has delivered superior lumber, value, and service, and they're not about to change things now. Celebrating 140 years at the same location, just 10 minutes south of New Hartford on Summit Road between routes 12 and 8. Lincoln Davies, building them like they used to. Call Yannick Excavating for all your residential and commercial projects, from new construction and land clearing to septic systems, driveways, basements, ponds, and topsoil. Visit yannickexcavating.com. Expecting company? Just call Deansboro Superette. They prepare delicious Middle Eastern platters for any number of guests. Call 841-4377. This week we head south of Utica to the town of Paris, which is made up of Paris Hill, Sequoit, Clayville, Cassville, and other little hamlets. The town was named after an early benefactor, Isaac Paris of Fort Plain. We learn more at the Town of Paris Historical Society from town historian Bonnie Niles.
The town of Paris was founded in 1792. It was April 10th. It was broken away from the town of Whitestown. Dr. Amaziah Royce was one of the first settlers here. But it was named for Isaac Paris, who was a colonel, and he was in Fort Plain, New York. He was a merchant there, and the inhabitants of Kirkland, Clinton, and Paris, because they were all part of the town of Paris up until 1827, they were starving, and they needed to have someone to go down to Fort Plain and ask this man, would you be able to send some supplies up to us so we don't starve? They had no way to pay him. And they just said, we do have ginseng, and that's a very good export for you, and if you would just take that in exchange. And he said he would, and by flatboats they sent up Virginia cornmeal and various other items to help these people from starving. And so then the town said we should name our town Paris for him, because prior to that it was known as Shacksboro up in the Paris Hill area.
One of the many artifacts here in the museum is this bow. It was made in the 1880s by a Cheyenne Indian for one of the young girls here, and her name was Catherine Agnes Tiernan.
Now I've been to the mountaintops and my share of troubles too. But if I could do it all again, well, Lord, you know just what I'd do.
One of the Cheyenne Indians who made bows like the one at the Historical Society was Okahata. Okahata was popular among the townspeople and eventually became deacon of the Episcopal Church. St. Paul's Church in Paris Hill was built in 1818 and is on the National Register of Historic Places.
St. Paul's Church here in Paris Hill, overlooking the green, is the oldest Episcopal church in central New York. It's no exaggeration to say that I have driven by this church hundreds of times, maybe even thousands of times, and it has always piqued my interest as to what it's like on the inside. Well, today I had the opportunity to go inside, and of course to go inside the church you have to go through the front doors here, and they're painted red. I've always been curious as to why the doors on Episcopal churches are painted red. I found out today that they represent the blood of Christ. You too can go inside the church at 4 o'clock on Sundays during August to see this beautiful structure from the inside. We're in St. Paul's Cemetery next to a gravesite. The gravesite is for an Indian Cheyenne woman named Nomi, who has a very interesting connection to the community. Buried with her is her baby who died in childbirth when she died, along with, I believe, another child. She came here with her husband, Okahata, who went on to become the deacon of St. Paul's Parish. After his death, he was the first Native American to be named a saint by the Episcopal Church.
We head down the hill to Summit Road in Paris Station to the Lincoln Davies Museum. The museum features a collection of store and family articles of the Davies family. It is open the second Sunday in September and October, or anytime by appointment by calling Max Townsend.
The Davies farm has been here since the early 1800s, and then in 1869, the railroad came through. There was an opportunity. The train would stop, so David Davies would unload coal and grain and sell it to all of the inhabitants in the town of Paris. And being the entrepreneur that he was, he then began to sell all kinds of things for the household, everything from boots to bonnets and things like this. I didn't have the slightest idea what this was until I talked to Max Townsend, who is a great-grandson of David Davies, and he told me that this is, I guess the proper term would be a fly what? Sprayer. A fly sprayer. And here's how you'd put the poison inside of here, and then you would blow it through like this to kill the flies on your farm. Pretty basic.
Wasn't a very good seller.
Well, it was by the way, it wasn't a very good seller, so there are quite a few here that are on display in the museum. I can see why it wouldn't be a good seller.
We stop in to visit Wayne Inglis, fire chief of the Clayville Volunteer Fire Department, that recently celebrated 100 years of service to the community.
We had a 100-year anniversary. We had the county convention here for our 100th anniversary. The fire department started in 1908, and it was actually with a horse-drawn or a hand-drawn hose cart, and eventually progressed to what we have today, which is a pretty serious operation. We have 35 volunteers, and they work in various places. We're fortunate enough to have a pretty solid crew that works right in the town of Paris here, so between the school and the highway. And when the alarm goes off, they come from all directions, and we respond with all the equipment. We go from paramedic EMS coverage to the basic roll and hose, pumping cellars, that kind of thing, fighting fires. I've been probably in the fire department now 40 years, actually, 40 years. My father was in before me, and we used to hang around at the firehouse, and he was chief here, and I kind of fell into that, and we've been doing it ever since. I actually have 2 boys of my own that belong here, and at one time it was a three-generation thing for my family, so pretty important. It's a pretty important thing, and you really don't mind helping people.
When you insure your boat or watercraft this season, don't send your hard-earned money sailing. Keep your money here, working in your community. Insure with Turnbull Insurance. You'll get great, reliable, and affordable coverage for your boat. Turn to a company anchored in the Mohawk Valley. Turn to Turnbull. You keep saying you're going to do something about your back and joint pain. Call Dr. Michael Tucherone, one of the area's only K-laser therapy chiropractors, the most advanced non-invasive treatment of acute and chronic pain. Call 853-6225 and embark on your wellness journey today.
Hi, Dr. Tom. Bringing your cat to the Paris Hill Cat Hospital on Sundays is a part of Mohawk Valley living. Come inside and see why.
Paris Hill Cat Hospital, this is Lindsay. How can I help you? Hello, Mrs. Cole. Your cat is losing weight and you need an appointment? And you're only available on weekends. Sure, I have an available appointment with Dr. Karen Sunday at 2 p.m. Does that fit into your schedule? Okay.
We're open 7 days a week because we know that your cat can become ill anytime. The Paris Hill Cat Hospital, quality care for your cats and kittens.
That special art, photograph, or memorabilia deserves a special frame. Oscars creates one-of-a-kind gold and silver leaf mirrors and frames. Oscars Picture Framing, 12 Kellogg Road, New Hartford. Have a tropical adventure and walk among hundreds of free-flying butterflies, tropical birds, plants, lizards, and frogs at the Pop Butterfly Conservatory. It's an unforgettable experience for all ages. Open 7 days a week on Route 7 in Oneonta. When you shop Mealan's Market, you'll be the grill master. That's because every hot dog, beef patty, and sausage is made by Bob Mealan himself. Find everything for your next cookout, from store-made meats to fresh salads and tabbouleh, at Mealan's Market at the Four Corners in Clark Mills. Tom's Natural Foods is your connection to local farms for natural and organic fruits and vegetables, meats, eggs, cheeses, and other milk products. At Tom's Natural Foods in Clinton, naturally.
I can't stand it when you're not around. I don't know quite what to do with myself. So if you have to leave me tonight, now, baby.
As we always point out, one of the benefits of staking your tomatoes is exactly a year like this. It keeps them up, they dry off easier. If they're down on the ground, they're going to stay wet longer. It's going to give you better quality plants. As we look forward with this rain also, some of the traditional things like garlic that have a certain determinate timeline, you might start checking them prematurely, because with this extra moisture, you're going to find that they actually double in size in a day or two. So you want to keep on top of checking your garlic, make sure it hasn't bolted and actually split, which would make it hard to harvest. We're checking every week here.
We hope that you enjoyed today's show. We always enjoy touring the valley and meeting fans of the show. Hope you will tune in again next week for some summer adventures, and that between now and then, you will enjoy Mohawk Valley living.
Got a head like a beam. He steers a T-bird